everybody. So first of all, I have a lot of questions, but I first want to congratulate you on this book.
Thank you.
This is so exciting. Let's get a round of applause for Tess's new book. I want to ask a little bit about, this is your first book?
I think so.
Yeah, as far as you know?
No, yes, it is.
And I want to know a little bit about the experience of writing it because, you know, you go pretty deep, you go pretty far back into your childhood and your life, and I want to know what that experience was like for you.
It was quite stressful. Like, I thought it would be so much easier than it was going to be. I think I must have gone into it quite naively. I've read a lot of children's books with my kids, so I was like, this will be easy, but it was not. I found the process stressful but cathartic. I started writing it when my 15-month-old was 4 months old, and I was still breastfeeding, and I had a bit of postpartum. So that definitely played a part into kind of where I was at that time. I'm in a much better place since I've written it, which I don't think I've said out loud.
It's our exclusive.
Yeah. I think it was a really hard time when I started writing it, but I'm now able to kind of look back and be grateful that, look, the book is finished. I hope it helps other people, and I'm done with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's an amazing book. I actually just finished reading it myself.
Thank you.
You know, I think as with many things, with your social media presence, and as a lot of, I'm sure, women have told you, I think a lot of people and women appreciate and are so in awe of you and are so grateful to you for kind of putting yourself out there in this way and you know, using your platform to help women. And I think, you know, personally, I want to thank you for that because it's helped me a lot. You know, a lot of times we throw around the word confidence a lot when we talk about you. And in reading your book, it felt like that had been kind of it, like the self-awareness and the resilience had come on from a really young age.
Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot in the book about my childhood and how traumatic my childhood and my life was up until my early 20s. And I think seeing everything my mom went through, being herself and myself victims of domestic violence and sexual assaults and everything else that we've gone through, I was able to kind of, I dealt with things that most kids should not have to deal with and most people shouldn't have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And it made me really stubborn, and it made me not take no for an answer and push harder than I think most of my peers. So I'm grateful for those life experiences, even though I wouldn't wish them on anyone.
Right, absolutely. I mean, it's those experiences that make us who we are.
100%. It's cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. Did you find that it was easy to tap back into those memories, or did you find you had pushed some of them away?
I definitely had pushed some stuff away, and I hadn't dealt with it in a long time, especially when I talked about my father and other things like that. I found it quite hard to kind of dig deep and relive some of those. And it also brought up feelings of things that I thought I had dealt with that I hadn't. I found it hard to be honest with myself through the process, and knowing that everyone was going to read it and that people were going to judge me and have their own comments about my life. But then I had to stop myself and think, like, I've built my brand and who I am on authenticity and being myself, good or bad. And I had to do that with my book in hopes to help other people.
Yeah, and you know that definitely shines through. It shines through in your book. It shines through on social media. I appreciate it. I know plenty. When I told my friends I was interviewing you, they had to
Google me. They were like,
flooded. No, my Facebook was flooded with women who are just so inspired by you.
Thank you.
You know, I would highly recommend reading this book because I think no matter what your struggles are, everybody has struggles.
The reality is, when you were saying that I've helped so many women, I appreciate that. But I know that people have issues with their bodies regardless of their size, gender, race, etc. We all struggle with things our own way, and in some cultures we're not able to talk about them, and especially I know men, our culture isn't really set up to discuss body image issues, and I feel really grateful to have a platform to talk about those things.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you have 2 sons.
Yeah.
And they're adorable, and
Thank you.
stalk
miss
them a little bit
them.
on social media. I want to know what the conversation about self-love and body image is with them, and if you've run into anything with them, and how you've handled that.
My 15-month-old is very confident. He runs around naked in his diaper. He has his little stomach that pokes out. And I wish, looking at my baby, that we could all feel that great running around naked. But my 11-year-old is hitting puberty, so his body's changing, and he's going through things that are quite hard. As I know most of us remember, it's hard when your body starts to change. And so I've had conversations with him about redirecting him to saying he's fat, because he's not fat. He's getting muscle and his body's changing. And so I say, look how strong your legs are, and look how I just say strong. Look how strong you are now, because he is. He's active and he's running around. And so I never want him to feel bad about his body. And I never say anything negative about my body in front of him. And if I do, because I'm human and I make mistakes, I correct myself and I educate him on the fact that some days we have good days and bad days. And mom's having a bad day. And I try and steer it in a positive light.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you are human. We're all human. And doesn't matter how much of body positive badass you are, we're all human beings. What's kind of the first thing that you do or you go through when you're having those negative thoughts or you're having a bad day?
I just try and do a mental checklist with myself and remind myself that some days when I'm agitated, especially on days like this where I'm doing 20 things in a day and I have 4 hours of sleep, and I'm feeling bad about myself or what I have on. I had one downstairs where I was like, I feel like this top makes me look weird, and then everyone's like, you're nuts. But in my head, I had to realize if I try and make it about my body, it's not my body. It's that maybe I'm tired or I'm hot or I'm hungry or the lighting's bad. There could be a ton of different things. So I just try and remind myself this isn't about me or my body or something I'm doing wrong. This is just normal human stuff that happens to us that I need to kind of snap out of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. That's easy to get sucked into thinking it's about you when really there's a lot of other factors at play.
Totally.
The F Your Beauty Standards movement has really taken off. It's amazing. It's it's really become a movement, and I'm wondering why you think that is.
I think that there were a couple body positive hashtags floating around, but none of them have taken off, or none of them had taken off in the way that F Your Beauty Standards did. And I think it was because it wasn't really targeted towards curves or women or whatever. It was just blanketed F Your Beauty Standards. It was me saying, I'm tired of people telling me what I should and shouldn't look like. I'm tired of society dictating what I can do with my body, and that it applies to everyone. It's been shared over 2.5 million times, and I have 5 people from around the world that help me run it from all different walks of life.
Wow.
And looking to expand. I'll get there. But I think a lot of people, I hope, relate to the fact that we all deal with it, and it doesn't just apply to one group of people.
Yeah, I think that's really important to keep in mind too. What has been the most rewarding aspect of reaching 2.5 million hashtags, or you're reaching all these people on your platform? What has been kind of the most rewarding aspect of that for you?
As hard as social media can be, and as frustrating as all of the stuff comes with it, with trolls and things like that, I'm so grateful to have connected with people from all around the world. I could go anywhere and have a friend no matter where I go, and that's how I met my husband, and that's why I have a career, is through social media. So it opened me up to a world of people that felt like me, and it made me feel less alone. And I realized that it's something everyone literally goes through, but some people don't talk about, and people talk about it now, and it's really great. I feel really, really fortunate.
Yeah. Speaking of around the world, having people around the world, I read in your book about your first trip on a plane to Seattle and all of your moves and all of your jobs, and it was so inspiring to me. And I'm wondering what your favorite place has been that you've traveled. And
well, I have favorite places I've traveled, but then like if I could live anywhere in the world. So like my favorite place I've probably traveled, I love Australia, and not just because my husband's from there, but it's a great.
Which, by the way, if you don't know the story of Tess and her husband, I would suggest reading it, because anyone who's ever online dated or had to deal with all of the bullshit of dating in general will be very inspired by this story. I think.
Yeah, we did long distance for 3 years from around the world. So, I guess I like him a little bit to still be here.
I guess so.
So I love Australia. I got to hug koalas, but if I could live anywhere, it would be London, because it's just such an amazing city. And New York's an amazing city, but I love cold weather a lot of the time. And you guys, the summers kill me.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
it's like walking behind a bus at all times.
I could not survive.
Yeah, you were just in London.
I was. Yeah, I just got back. Like, what's today? 4 days? I don't know. 5 days ago. Yeah.
And you walked a runway there.
I kicked off London Fashion Week. I was in a show that had UK size 10, so that's US 14, I guess. Mm-hmm. No, that's down.
It's the opposite.
So, opposite. Yeah. So US 8, 6. My math's so bad. I think it is. Tired.
I think it's 6.
You guys do the math. So UK 10 to UK 26, because I'm a UK 26, US 22.
Okay.
And it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit. You talk about your dad in your book, and you talk about the relationship that you had there, and walking away from a toxic relationship. And I think that can be said of relationships with parents and men, women, boyfriends, girlfriends. And I'm wondering if you have advice for people who might feel trapped in a toxic relationship, and what the first kind of moves you would make to go forward.
I think it depends on what kind of toxic relationship. I mean, obviously, if the person is being abusive physically or things like that, then you need to find a safe place and talk to someone and all of that. If it's being verbally abusive, like my father was, and sometimes physical, if you're old enough to have a conversation with the person, or if there's someone in your life, like a friend or things like that aren't treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, have a conversation with them if you care about them, and let them know. And if their behavior doesn't change, then it might be worth reevaluating the relationship, because I firmly believe that if people aren't in your life supporting you and furthering you on your path, then they don't deserve to be in your life. And that's why I'm sitting here today, is because of the amazing people I have around me.
Amen. And I think, that you can keep that in mind when you're thinking about anonymous internet trolls and people who are nasty on the internet too. Yeah.
They don't matter.
Isn't that funny? I know. We give them a little bit of power sometimes, and they really don't.
But you know what? I love it when people hate on my stuff, because that's how engagement goes up and my numbers go up. So I'm like, hate on me, because you are literally putting food on my table, and I love food. So.
Come on, bring it on, haters.
Yeah.
All right, move a little bit lighter. You are very, very good at doing your hair and makeup.
I can do my makeup.
Okay, not your hair.
My hair, I would look like a troll doll. So no.
Your hair looks great.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you still do your hair and makeup for events now, and if you have trouble having your makeup done because of your experience doing it.
Okay, so I was a makeup artist for a long time before I started modeling, and thank goodness, because my face has been butchered, and I've been able to sneak in the bathroom and fix it. Sometimes I will do my own makeup, but now there are so many people around me that are way better at it than me, and that means I can sit around and look at my phone and catch up on emails, or do whatever while they do my makeup. So I prefer to have other people do it, but sometimes it's nice to do it myself. Dita Von Teese actually does her hair. Well, she used to do her hair for everything, but she does her makeup for every single event, because she wants to keep her brand and her look a certain way. And I think that's amazing. Yeah, I just don't have that patience.
That's rad. And also, I have to ask if you have a favorite tattoo.
Well, my favorite tattoo is probably, I have a few. The one on my leg for my son, it's a little kid in like a teddy bear outfit because of his favorite bear from growing up, my older son. But I would guess the most popular one for everyone else is my Dolly Parton tattoo.
I was going to say that's my favorite that I've
and I have to say,
about.
I'm not mad at it. Dolly's, everything.
She's a god.
So it's nice to have her on my body every single day.
A nice reminder of what's actually important, right?
It is. My next step is to meet her and hopefully get her to sign my arm, and then I want to get that tattooed. Like,
Right,
I'm
well,
that person.
Dolly Parton,
I'm
if you're
putting it in the
watching, we're
universe.
putting it in the universe, and I
Yeah.
want to be there because
And look, I
obsessed.
paid a lot of money for it to look just as cheap as she looks, and I know she appreciates that.
100%.
So I love her.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay, well, we're gonna take it out for some questions for the audience. I think
This
we have-
microphone is heavy.
I know we're getting some
I'm
workout
like
in.
doing workouts on the stage.
Here.
Well, hi, Tess.
Hi.
I just wanted to say thank you for being who you are,
Thank
the
you.
role model you are, and standing up for the rights of all people. I just wanted to ask, I've been in some public spaces where people have kind of just blatantly like responded negatively to my body type. And I just wanted to ask you, like, how should I navigate those moments? Because sometimes, you know, either I take it as an internal hit or, you know, I kind of tell them about their life. So I want to figure out how to deal with that better.
Are these in like social situations, or are these
Yeah.
people that you know, social situations?
Yeah.
I think it's always important just to try and not take things personally. However, if someone's just being outright rude, then if it's a time and place to say something, I would say that, I mean, it depends on how bold you are, but I would say, I don't appreciate it. You know what I mean? But sometimes, like, I hate conflict and I hate like ruffling. Well, no, I don't. I love ruffling feathers. But you know, I never want to hurt someone's feelings intentionally. But if they're being rude to me and I feel like it's a moment where maybe they're receptive to what I'm going to say and I can say it in a nice way, then I would say, like, just so you know, I feel like that's not appropriate. But sometimes it's worth just to let it roll off and kind of build yourself up in your head and be like, you know what, I'm better than that, and just try and rise above it. And because I always believe that success and living a good life is the best revenge. So try to hold your head high. And that color looks great on you, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm a petite model, and I face a lot of rejection. So I just want to say thank you for
Yeah.
inspiring millions of girls and boys. So facing a lot of rejection, it's like a lot of negativity, and you tend to feel like you're not good enough. So was there a moment where you decided to just like go for it? Like, did something happen to you that you were just like, screw it, like I'm just gonna be me, and if you don't like it, then that's your problem.
Screw 'em. No, I think that I still get rejection, and I still don't always take it the best, especially if I have my heart set on something. And, it can be quite hard, and it's hard to not take it personally. But at the end of the day, I always try and remind myself that there was someone else that was meant for that opportunity, or maybe it was their moment, and there's room for all of us. So I just need to let them have their moment. But of course, you're human and you're going to take it personally. But I think my moment was when I started modeling and I started seeing my friends do all of this amazing stuff. And it's hard to not be jealous and see all of that. But I like seeing people succeed because it's a step forward for all of us. So I just try and always remind myself of that. But believe it or not, modeling has helped my confidence, and I try to not let it destroy it as well.
And I hope
Yeah.
to inspire like a lot of.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
One more right here.
Hi, Tess. You look
Hi.
very nice.
Thank you.
Who's your biggest inspiration for modeling?
My biggest inspiration for modeling? That's a really good question. I've never thought of that. All of them are cartoon characters usually. Growing up, I probably the first plus size model I saw was Emmy. I really loved her, and I loved Crystal Wren. But I would say Emmy was the first visibly plus size model I saw, and she just walked the Chromat runway show.
Oh, it was amazing.
And she's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and I cried when I met her last year. And it's nice to see someone still doing amazing things at her age. And I guess her. Thanks
Great.
for
Enjoy
the
your
question.
weekend.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Tess, so much for
Thank
being here.
you.
This was awesome. Your book is out now.
It comes out on Monday.
Oh, it comes out on Monday.
September 26th. And it's out on ebooks now.
Oh, out on ebooks now. So everyone
Yeah.
go home.
I was trying to
online.
think of what today was. Guys, I need a nap.
It's the 20th. We're going to go let Tess have a nap. Thank you so much
Thank
for being here.
you.
Thanks, you guys.